Welcome back to Baja Talks Books. So today was chapters 7 through 8. So only 2 chapters. I'm with my boy Dylan and my boy Patty.
The tickle monster, as some would say.
The tickle monster. Mr. Crazy. Oh yeah, did you get the voicemail I sent you?
I need to listen to it.
Bro, I'll like call him when we want to play video games or something, and he'll just not hang up. I mean, not pick up. And so I'll leave him a voicemail where I'm like, it's Mr. Crazy. Why don't you hop on a crazy game and do something really crazy with us? It's like 5 minutes of that. It's pretty awful.
Really dookie butt.
What did you guys think about these chapters before we kind of dive into them? I feel like the pace sort of picks up, but also kind of stays the same. But at least now something is happening.
But even though stuff is happening more in these chapters than it was in some of the other chapters, still not a whole lot's happening. And it's just like, it's getting harder to get through the book. Like, I'm still doing it, but it's just like,
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for another chapter of setting up. Like, 12 chapters in. Ooh. Like...
When I was rereading the chapters in like preparation or whatever, I noticed something. It reminded me slightly of Malzahn. Malazan, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Where it just throws names and places and stuff at you and just expects you to like understand it all.
Oh yeah.
Except Malzahn
nowhere near as
yeah difficult.
difficult.
Malzahn is like it's purposely doing that, and it's like that's what it's going for. Elantris is just like an inexperienced author.
Yeah, it's just like, here are 6 characters, and here is also this magic system, and here's also these different religions. It's like, remember all of them. And also, there's multiple different countries. Remember these too? Some of this, it feels like I'm supposed to like be taking notes so I can remember all these people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's a little much.
kind of like those scenes in Star Wars where it's like, but we can't do that. What about the Gleep Gloop people? And it's like, oh yeah, the Gleep Gloop people. Everybody knows them. Everybody knows the Gleep Gloops. It's like...
Glorbus Freep. Yeah. I love those memes. Your favorite Star Wars character, Glorbus Freep, is getting his own spin-off show.
We just keep
Yeah,
talking about the
baby.
book.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, baby. They got me private. They got me for my phones.
So,
Yeah, back to the book. Sorry, my bad. I was looking at give me an 8-ball and 2 hookers and I'll kill everyone you know with a picture of Steve Jobs in The Sims.
But something that's kind of interesting is like, when I'm reading it, it feels like things are moving super slowly and like things are happening over the course of days. But it's like, no, it's
No, this
actually
is all
been,
one
like,
day.
3 days. Like,
Yeah.
only 3 days have passed.
Eventually,
This
it
whole
starts
time.
like going by like the months and stuff. Like it starts taking over like a lot more periods of time between events. But we're still in the beginning, even though we're
12 chapters in.
70 pages in.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a while to get going, which is funny because my thing says I'm on page 9.
It's just really long pages.
Yeah, so these chapters, the first one, chapter 7, that's Raoden. And it's basically just him figuring out the Aeons.
Yeah. And then getting introduced
And he's
to...
like, hey, dude, I know you made like jewelry. Could you make shoes? Could you make
Yeah, he
shoes?
starts to assemble his little gang. I guess his first member.
I do kind of want to go over this section. So the Aeons are like, basically what's that like light thing that people do with the like they draw in the air with the light sticks and then
The glow sticks. I can only think of like the Disney Channel. Now you're watching Disney
Oh,
Channel.
it is kind of like that. Yeah, you're right. It is basically that.
The like long exposure photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the people do like phosphorus or something, and then they'll like light it on fire. White phosphorus, black tar heroin. Yeah. So it's basically just that. It's the Disney Channel thing, and they kind of like show up and then they just kind of go away and just dim. So it's kind of working,
Yeah,
but it's not
It only
really.
works if you do it really good. And then he's like, wow, dude, I know you just started doing this, but
Yeah.
you're doing it better than
That
I ever
was-
did. Every time I try, I can't do anything. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Like, dang, that's crazy that on his third day here, well, he's also been doing all this other stuff. He's somehow better than this guy already.
No, it's only been a day.
No, it says day 3.
Oh, he's like, you're much better at this than I am,
Third
Sewell.
day in Elantris.
Oh, his third day in, yeah. I was saying, it's been a day since Galadon showed him how to draw the Aeons.
Gotcha, okay.
So in like overnight, he just picked it up.
He's just like, oh, you mean like this?
You mean just like this? Yeah, every Aeon he had finished properly had acted the same way, disappearing without producing visible effects. So, yeah, it shows up, but
It doesn't do anything.
it doesn't do anything.
They're supposed to do something, but they only disappear.
Yeah, and every one of the people who had actually known what was going on is, now insane somewhere in Elantris.
Not since the Raid when Elantris fell has it worked.
He could remember images of Elantris as a child, so he visited Elantris, and they could fly, super strength, heal stuff. He broke his leg, and King Iodon had objected, but his mom had taken him to Elantris anyway, and they just like reknit his bones with the wave of the hand.
Damn.
So that's pretty fire. And then they mentioned Arcane for some reason in here, even though that wasn't released yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a powerful burst of arcane magic. I don't think League of Legends was a thing when this came out, but yeah, and so this is another thing where Raiden starts yapping about how the answers are in here, Galadon. They must be in these, conveniently placed books that Galadon conveniently found. And every time Galadon's like, perhaps,
Perchance.
might happen, whatever. And then Raiden's like, no, it's going to happen. Don't worry. I know it's impossible, but I'm going to do it. And then he starts feeling hungry for the first time in a while. And he's like, oh, shoot. This is why they were complaining about it earlier. And I was like, nah, you're just making that up. It's not going to be that bad. And he's like, now it's that bad. And then they start going around Elantris and they notice the Gjorn up there. And we get some interesting stuff about Galadon and his backstory and the whole kind of cause of why the Dorethi are here is because the Dorethi have a particular loathing for your country because their armies never figured a way to get through those mountains to attack you. The Gjorns are basically just like, come on, man, you won't let us kill you. Like, come on, that's not cool. You gotta let us invade you. I do think it's interesting that this chapter is them like looking up at the priest like talking and giving this sermon, and then the other chapter is the priest like seeing them run by, and then Serene's chapter is like seeing the Gjorn up there and then also seeing them, and it's kind of all their. This is the first time all their viewpoints have like convolved.
Yeah, that's always. I really enjoyed that one. It's not even really. It's just tiny little snippets of the stories converted just a little bit.
But it's still nice because before the stories are just kind of.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm
separate
saying.
thing.
That's cool because it's just a little tease.
Yeah, and then more backstory about Galadon and how he didn't spend all of his life in Duladel, which I guess makes sense because the only people who get like turned into Elantrians either live around Elantris or. Apparently, according to Galadon, they visited Elantris. So something to do with like the use of the magic.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Is what turns them zombified. And then a bunch of stuff that goes down where they find that the dude gets like tossed into Elantris. And Raoden kicks off a plan that if I was Galadon, I would simply leave and stop talking to him because...
Yeah,
it's kind of an awful plan, and
I would be like, this man is going to get me killed.
Like you've known this dude for like 3 days, and I know that you're supposed to be like the friendly, happy-go-lucky, like, oh, what's up, Sewell? But
yeah, but that jerky was not worth it.
Yeah. He just shoves him into the middle of the thing where a bunch of like thugs are looking for someone to beat up. Just shoves him out there and goes, all right, have fun, run.
I just imagine just an alternative version where he's just dead. Like he just never shows up again. And he's just like, damn. Probably should have planned that better.
Yeah, I probably should have planned that. Or I also don't like that Raoden could just tell him what the plan was.
Yeah.
There was no reason he didn't need to, like, okay, I'm going to have you cause a distraction. Well, I get this guy, and you run the other direction. Like, he could have just said that.
But if he told him what the plan was, then it wouldn't have been as dramatic.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because he could have told him the plan, and then we just don't hear about it. You know? Like...
Yeah, I mean, I
guess. It just kind of makes him seem like a really bad person. Just be like, yeah, well, don't die.
Like, he's got eternal face pain now.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't go away. However you spin it, Raiden's just kind of going by the seat of his pants, and I feel like Galadon is putting up with a lot more than... He hasn't gotten anything out of this relationship other than a piece of jerky, so...
Which, like, the jerky can't be that good.
It cannot be that good. She beef on my jerky till he's $17 a bag.
Yeah. And then, but I do like how he's just like, yeah, well, we have you now, and you're gonna make shoes because you need to do something. And he's like, okay, I guess.
And I like how he's like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm a jeweler, Mareche.
I just said Moresh.
Moresh.
I think it might be Marishi.
I don't know.
I don't know.
These names are crazy. Yeah, Marishi. And the dude's like, I'm a jeweler. And he's like, that won't be of much use. What else can you do? And Marishi's like, bro, jewelry making's an important, useful skill, dog. Don't knock my hustle. And the dude's like, bro, we're in the city of zombies
We are
now.
all going
We
to
do
die."
not care. And he's like, what else can you do? Anything. That's quite broad. Could you be a bit more specific? Yeah, so this dude's kind of the MVP. He's the craftsman, and he can make shoes and stuff. And this made me laugh. I suppose I could, Marishi said, though such hardly demands the skill of a man who is a full artisan and a full idiot. And then Raiden's kind of buttering up. He's doing tricks on it. And then he wipes his mouth when he's done and is like, yo, make some leather shoes. Which, that's pretty smart. I don't know why nobody's done that before. Because there's organized gangs. So, like, clearly there's some people who aren't just rabid animals.
Well, because the thing is, if you have shoes but they rub on you wrong, then you will just have blisters on your feet for the rest of your life.
That is fair, yeah.
But
which is part of why they're like...
like, I'm surprised they don't have issues just walking places. Cause, like,
I think about that every time I read it.
Over time, your feet are going to wear down a little bit, like, from being barefoot. Like, unless people beforehand were just, like, walking around all the time barefoot. Like...
I mean, maybe. I guess if there's, like, a sludge covering everything, though, then you get a little bit more cushioning. But that's still, like, the daily wear and tear of just walking around on your feet, especially if you're not used to that, would be... I don't know.
You know, it just seems... Like, I don't know if it counts as a plot hole, but it seems kind of like...
I get that you can't have literally everything... like, incapitate them, otherwise you wouldn't have a story, but yeah.
But, like, I also wonder, like, do they grow hair? Like, does their hair keep growing? If their eyelashes fall out, do their
Didn't
eyelashes...
say all their hair falls out when they...
Yeah, it falls out. They all get bald.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do their eyelashes and stuff fall out? Like, does that...
That would suck so bad. Like, you know, it's one of your first days, one of the eyelashes falls out, gets in your eye, now you're just, like, kind of blind for them.
I mean, wouldn't it happen all at once, though? Because, like, it's not like a gradual thing. Like, you just wake up and all your hair's gone and stuff, and you're a zombie
It's
creature.
gradual.
Is it gradual?
It is gradual, yeah.
Because
it literally
gets worse gradually, but I think straight off the bat, it's like he woke up and his hair was, like, stringy and gone and stuff. Wasn't it? Like, the beginning of the book?
No, I think it just said that he had, like, blotchy skin.
Like, if they become like...
It just changed his hair color.
Oh, okay, so maybe they do keep their hair and it just...
Well, they eventually do lose it.
Yeah.
All right,
keep going.
For the next chapter, like, Serene's like, I'm going to live in the palace still.
Yeah, back to this amazing epic character, Serene.
Yeah, she's
Such
probably
a
my
cool
least
character.
favorite.
She's like, I'm going to go live in the palace so I can bother the king some more.
Yeah. There are some good bits in this, actually. There's more of the king, just... Okay, so first off, Serene is just like... I can't stand her character. I'm sorry, but I really can't.
She's really just womaning it up.
She really goes full, like, bimbo
Yeah.
I'm painting your paintings.
Which, I mean, to be fair, she's doing it on purpose, like acting dumb. But at the same time, it just kind of hurts reading her being
It
so
really
dumb.
hurts reading it. And I like that Iodon's like, you're painting my painting. What? Like, what is this? You cannot be like, you physically cannot be this stupid. Even though his wife is literally like the number one bimbo in all of the kingdom or something.
Yeah, well, that's why he married her, I'm guessing. He seems like the kind of guy who
Probably.
wouldn't want a smart wife. Like, who knows? Maybe his wife is also, like, actually smart, but she's just being a bimbo.
She might be an evil secret bad guy, actually. That could be.
And then, it goes on to have a lot more very funny dialogue about, haha, your paintings suck.
Okay, I do like
They're just like, what is that supposed to be?
I did like that, like with Lucal. I think that's probably the funniest part of the book so far, to me, at least. And there is some interesting stuff here about the king not making a very good king, but he's a really good businessman. And
Topical.
Yo! Hey, this is Baja Talks, where we bring you the hottest politics and daily
We love
news.
talking about politics.
Yeah.
Titus.
But Titus, what are you doing? Titus wanted us to be more in the microphone. Yeah, which is interesting and is partially the reason why Sereni's there in the first place is because the king is a businessman and not a good king. And so this is an alliance that he's making because she's more or less a resource. They're saying that's probably why he's going to lose his throne because that doesn't work in the long run. If you don't actually know anything about ruling and you just want to make a profit, more topical discourse. That's crazy.
Only people that make money get to rule. What?
And
what
when
is
you
this, capitalism?
when you screw over the economy for short-term gain, it makes the long-term more difficult and could potentially ruin where you're getting your money from. This is
Crazy.
deep
Topical, bro.
topical information.
What an original idea.
Yeah. And then I do like this exchange of Ash, the Sion, being like, you're getting better, my lady. Don't patronize me. No, really. When you started painting 5 years ago, I could never tell what you were trying to depict. And this is a painting of a bowl of fruit. It's just like a blob. The Sfordish school of extreme abstractionism. Try saying that 5 times fast. I'm struggling
Swedish School of Extreme Abstractionism. Swedish School of Extreme Abstractionism. I'm not saying it fast. I'm saying it.
It's hard.
I also like how in this they're like, yeah, slavery is illegal. I mean, this guy has a slave, but like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Like,
You know?
the king's like talking about the kids, or it's not even like about the slave himself. It's about like his kids and how the kids are now the dude's property and not really the slaves.
Yeah.
Because the slave isn't actually technically a slave, but because he kind of is, the kids are now actually slaves, and it's like a weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But it seems kind of wild that they're doing all that when they're like, also slavery is legal, but like.
Yeah, I also like how Serene's like, I don't understand this. I thought slavery was illegal. And then her cousin conveniently just shows up at that moment to explain why exactly this is happening.
They speak of figurative ownership.
Wow, that's great. Here, let me give you this article.
What are you doing?
What are you doing
What are
here?
you doing here?
Fancy meeting you here. And then I do like Lucal. He's pretty funny. And I like the dialogue here. The dialogue here feels more natural than it did with the other characters, where he shows up like this is very believable, like sibling talk. I guess I don't know. Where she's like, "It worked, didn't it? Beautifully," which is more than I can say for the painting. It's a horse, right? A house. It's not a bowl of fruit either. And well, she said it was one of the paintings in the room. All we have to do is keep guessing until we find the right one. That's something I would say. Like that is something I would say to my sisters. She's like, that's enough, you two. It's the one across from us, the one I was facing while I painted. That one, but that's a picture of flowers. And what's that dark spot in the middle of your painting? that is definitely something I would say. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could explain Idon's legal case before I turned violent, cousin. I need to use that line.
And here's some more exposition about how slavery works in Arlon, even though it's illegal.
Yeah. And it's interesting that they mentioned that even like the Fjordell people don't do like slavery and stuff. Like Iron is just that bad of a king.
Yeah.
Even the, horrifically brutalist culture across the mountains that's invading everyone and wants to kill everyone. Even they don't use slaves. Even they're like, yo, what is wrong with you guys? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, just like, hey, I'm not like a monster. Like, even I got standards.
Yeah. Yeah, so the king is just awful.
I mean, it says it right here. Over the past decade, commoners have changed from families that own their own land to peasants beneath feudal lords to indentured servants to something more resembling ancient feudal serfs. It won't be much longer before they're nothing more than property.
Yo, this is literally capitalism.
I know. King Iodon eliminated individual land holding rights.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is a lot more. When was this book released? 2009 or something?
2005. He declared all the land belonged to the crown, and then he rewarded merchants who had supported his ascension with titles and holdings. Bro.
Weird.
Wow, that's crazy.
This is crazy.
Bro, the government would never do that.
The government would never.
We need to make our government leaders read Elantris.
Dude.
Maybe that.
No, because they'd just be like, wow, this is so cool. That king's a great guy.
We should have Diego read this.
Yeah, this is weirdly topical. Like,
I don't know, but yeah, a lot of weirdly topical stuff in here.
Yeah, anyway, back to the book.
Back to the book. We got distracted. Can we just stop for a second and talk about the political and economic state of the world?
yeah, we just did.
I feel like we're Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith is truly a creature.
One of the people of all time.
He is one of the people. Yeah, he's
one of the black people of all time.
yeah, and then they kind of have a conversation about how Iodon got.
No way! After talking about the slavery, Serenity says, "This is worse than I feared."
Bars.
Dumb.
What a line.
Wow, it's so cool of Serena to say that, slavery's bad. That's really cool of her.
Not just bad. This is worse than I thought.
This is
It's just like, wow,
so much
you mean
cliche
slavery's not
dialogue,
good?
bro.
Thank you for telling me. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Like,
And yeah, they have a conversation about how Iodon got the throne not because he was like smart or really much of anything. He was just head of the local merchants guild. And so he had a lot of connections and money. And that's what got him the throne. More topical information. Let's go. So what you're saying is he wasn't the one most fit for the job. And he didn't really earn his place there. He just took advantage of the upheaval of society and used his powerful connections and money to gain power. This is crazy.
This is wild, bro.
This is very crazy. And apparently Elantris supplied free food for everyone. So the Merchants Guild is part of why they started just killing Elantrians, because they were like, well, if they're giving out free food, who's going to buy our stuff?
well, because they made an agreement that they weren't going to make certain things so that people could still make them.
But still,
for their jobs.
Yeah, only basic items would be free, and then everything luxuries and stuff.
But even
having basic items, no.
I'm sure even then they were still like, well, we could still be making a profit off of that and giving away for free. So,
but why should people have food when I could have money?
Yeah, they were the most powerful and the biggest organization when Elantris fell. So that's how they were able to secure power, because of that deal.
Yeah,
where they were able to secure wealth.
They very directly benefited from that. Which that leaves the question, did they have something to do with it, or was it just chance and they were, just there at the right time? And yeah, it's like the Riyadh struck and Iodon was chairman of the largest, most powerful organization, and they just kind of took over, and that's kind of led to where everything is now, with kind of slaves and the failing ruling class and the failing working class, and their country as a whole failing and needing Serenity to come over, and the Gjorn coming over now. And yeah.
Bro, after that, it goes on to Lukel starts to talk about Raoden because Serena's like, more importantly, they know a government can collapse, making those who were once servants into masters. Iodon has put too much on them too quickly. And then he says, you sound like Prince Raoden. Did you know him well? He was my best friend. And then he goes on to talk about how much of a great guy he was. He made you happy.
Oh, you missed her going, tell me about him, Lukel.
Tell me about him.
She requested her voice soft.
It would make you realize just how silly you were being. He was brilliant. He was such a good guy. Everyone loved him. So, you see, he's such a good person.
He knew every Aeon.
He was so amazing.
He knew every Aeon and could draw them with perfection. And always coming up with weird new philosophy that no one but Father could understand. Even with my training at the university, I still couldn't follow half his theories.
He was just
sounds like he was flawless
in everything but cards.
Oh,
he always lost when we played Tula-Do.
What?
Yeah.
Even if he did talk me into paying for dinner afterwards, yo.
Yeah, but it then establishes that Raoden very much opposed his father and very much,
Yeah, he basically just got away with whatever he could because he was crown prince, and Iodin wrote the actual laws that allowed the crown prince to basically do whatever he wanted. He could just do whatever he wanted. And it is funny how he's like, and let me tell you, princess, you don't know what a scolding is until you've had one from Raoden. It's like, bro, calm down, buddy. I miss him. This country needed Raoden. He's beginning to make a real difference. And then the cousin Lukel brings up how they have a secret society that meets together, which I don't feel like it's that secret considering it's like 90% of the ruling class or something. Like maybe there's a ton of people we aren't hearing about, but it kind of feels like everyone is there but the king.
It's like the Illuminati, like people know about it, but like
yeah.
And then it mentions what's going to be an important plot line later, who's going to inherit the throne, and Lukel mentions either Lord Telri or Lord Royal.
Yeah, Lord Royal.
We will find out about very soon. Is it in this chapter?
I'm looking right now.
Chapter.
Yeah, we see Duke Telri. He goes, Lord Telri or Lord Royal, and she's like, are they here? Royale isn't, but there's Duke Telri over here. It's a pompous-looking man, lean and strong-postured. He might have been handsome had he not displayed signs of gross indulgence, sewn in gemstones and gold and silver and stuff. I just picture like one of the wise men for some reason. Massive purplish birthmark. And then Lukel kind of tells us that Iodon is disagreeable, but at least he's fiscally responsible, kind of. And Telri is like a spender. He's not only disagreeable and awful, but he spends money all the time, and he'd probably be the richest person if he wasn't spending money. And then...
Oh, now it talks about their meetings with...
Oh, yeah. They're too afraid to continue without the prince's protection. But we've convinced them one last time.
Oh, then they go back to Kin's house with Kaise and Yala, his whole family.
Whoops. I have so much junk in my nose right now.
So much junk in your trunk.
So much junk in my trunk.
God damn, this is a long chapter, bro.
Yeah, it's a long chapter. A lot of just dropping world building stuff. A large portion of that is just us yapping at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it mentions some stuff here about Jala, who's... What's the uncle's name?
Look, Kin?
Kin, yeah, Kin. Jala appears.
Yeah, Unky K.
And she's Fortish. And they kind of have this... Or Serene has this weird inside thought about, like, Teoish people and how it's not her place to complain, but she's watching with envy. And she's like, oh, wait, no, Jala is Lukel's wife. And so she's watching them. She's like, man, I wish I had someone to rub my shoulder like that. But I'm Teoish and I'm royal, so I can't complain. It's the necessities of a state marriage. If Domi had taken her husband before she met him, then he obviously wanted to leave her mind clear for other concerns. And then Keen shows up and stuffs a book in his apron, which, how big is your apron, dog?
Why are you putting it in your apron?
Yeah.
Why don't you just like set it on the table or like a nice
just
bookshelf?
He's got one of those comically large pockets on his apron.
Yeah, he's got the comically large pocket. And then randomly, Luke will, this is something I would also do. He just randomly tells them about Serene's painting, engaging in some sort of new abstractionism. He's like, is that so? Yeah, I can't quite say what kind of statement she was trying to make by representing a flower patch with a brown smudge that only vaguely resembles a horse. That is awesome. That is something I would say when I'm trying to be really annoying.
Yeah, and
then the kid starts yapping about how there's no such thing as a school of creative misdirection. And then she yaps all the ones that are there, and everyone's like, will you please shut up?
Yeah, just
will you stop?
Talking about, because none of these words sound familiar to me, so I'm pretty sure they're just talking about made up, like, art things.
What, you've never heard about the neo-representational school?
Yeah, no,
or the neo-representational abstract, or the abstract derivatational school, or the revivitationist school? You've never heard of those?
No.
You never heard people use those in everyday conversation?
No, but I
use those at least once a
that
week.
section. I was just like, when are they going to shut up?
We should skip through a lot more of this. Like, not really a lot of this is important.
A lot of this really doesn't matter.
It's just them talking shit about each other.
Yeah.
Eventually, okay, we get to Elantris. They're at Elantris. Oh, wait. No, they're at the base of Elantris. I'm sorry, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're like, all look kind of dead, except for those two there. That's interesting.
Yeah, and so Serene goes to Elantris and basically just shows up there and sees Raiden in the distance, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, he's such an evil, ugly looking thing. Oh my gosh. Wait, where is it? Oh no, she goes up and she sees the Gjorn.
Yeah.
And he's preaching. And is this all the same chapter? Jeez.
Yes, yeah. I know. It's still going.
Yeah.
And he's like, look at them. They have lost their right to be the men. They're animals, having no will or desire to serve Lord Jaddeth. They know no God and can only follow after their lusts. So more epic Bible teachings.
Harathan's probably my favorite character in the book.
Yeah.
And I don't really love like the conversation between Serene and Harathan because Serene's once again doing the annoying, like, bubble-headed. I get why she's doing it. I understand it, but also at the same time,
it's really annoying.
It is like imagine if you're in church and the bishop said something and you just were like, why? And he's like, what? But can you stop? I'm giving my speech.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I know they're trying to place it as like this two intellects collide kind of thing.
Yeah.
Two intellects collide by one pretending to be very dumb.
Why are animals beneath humans in Mr. Jaddeth's eyes?
Basically just trying to undermine his points, trying to get people to question him.
Which this is one of the things I do really like, because you could apply this exact same like conversation to like Mormonism and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like this exact same like breakdown of how things contradict and how things are said one way, but they don't actually mean that. But also, here's how this fits, and here's how this doesn't fit. And one of the things I like the most about Brandon's works are that he's not afraid to not necessarily take a stab at his own religion, but dissect it in a way and address questions.
Be critical of what he believes.
Yeah. And so this conversation, I don't love it, but it is interesting to me how you could just reframe this with like Mormonism, and this would be an interesting conversation to have. And Harathan doesn't really win either. Like, no. Which actually, Serene knows a lot about like Shu-Dareth and stuff for some reason.
Yeah, she knows a lot.
She knows a lot about it.
Because she's really, really smart at everything. She knows everything.
Yeah, it does give us the structure though. Where is it? One served those above him, who served those above him, and so on until it reached Wern, who served Jaddeth directly. But Wern is like the Pope, and Jaddeth is the god under the rock, and nobody else is holy enough to serve him directly. But also, you're all supposed to be serving him. And then they're like, Fair play, Gjorn. You play a dangerous game, princess. You'll find I am very good at games, Gjorn. Until the next round, then.
Oh, come on. Yeah. Yeah, I just imagine everyone else watching them just, why are they talking? What?
It did make me laugh how right after that, she meets Dilav's eyes, and he's just like glaring at her, and she's like, I feel like he's gonna grab me by the neck and chuck me off the side of the wall. Like, what is this dude's problem?
Yeah, he's tweaking out.
Absolutely tweaking. And she mentions he looks Aeonic, not Fjordell. So she thinks he's from around here. And then the annoying little girl's complaining.
Talking stupid shit.
Yeah. Blah, 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 skipping through all this.
Damn.
Oh, and then then the girl's like, oh, they're so sad. Who? Them. And it points to all the Elantrians. And I'm pretty sure we see Raiden down here. Oh, yeah. She's scanning the city, thinking about, like, what the girl's saying about all the Elantrians, and she picks out a particular pair of figures who didn't appear as pitiful as the rest. One seemed to have darker skin than the other, and they looked immobile, unlike most of the other Elantrians. There was something different about these two.
Yeah, because I find it, like, kind of fitting that, because I'm assuming they're probably going to end up together, and I find that kind of fitting, because she's a real special girl, and he's a real special boy, like...
Today was chapters 7 and 8. Yeah, so next week, chapters 8 through 12. As for chapters, pretty good chunk. Yeah, this is Baja Books. Do you have anything you're looking forward to?
The end.
Okay.
Being over. Like, it's just... I really don't care about the characters, and they just keep giving more information. It's like, I don't care. Like, oh, they have a card game called Flip Flop? Okay. It's like, I don't care.
It was like, no, it was like Tepi Loop or something.
Yeah.
Tidaloot?
Something
it's
like that.
I don't care. Why are you giving me more information? Have something happen already. Like, why are you telling me more information about this stuff when nothing has happened still?
It gets better towards the end. There is one character, I'm not going to say who, that I do end up really caring about, and I actually think is a really well written.
We're like a third of the way through the book now, and nothing has happened.
Whose story is that character in?
What?
That character you're talking about, whose story is it in?
Well, if I say, then that gives away which character it is.
Is it someone we've already met?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the main characters.
Oh, okay.
The only one with like an actual...
I mean, Unky K is pretty okay.
No. Yeah, so that's all we have for next week, but we'll see you guys next week. I took a break last week because I was sick and school started for me, so I've been...
It's all Baird's fault.
Yeah, all my fault. But now that I'm kind of back in the swing of school and I'm not sick anymore, we can get back to regular uploads. So I will upload for you guys listening. It will have been a week's gap. For us, it will have been a week's gap, but it'll be like the previous week, and for you guys, it'll be this week instead. So I guess we're back on normal schedule. Anyways, yeah, Baja Talks Books next week. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.